Hello and welcome to this episode of CXO Cafe, a series of learning interactions with CIOs and technology leaders on various aspects of workplace trends for the new normal. I'm Anil Chopra, VP Research and Consulting at CyberMedia Research and your host for this episode. In this episode, we're going to discuss a very important aspect of this topic, reimagining collaboration for a hybrid workforce. Now, as we know that the pandemic has broken a lot of myths, and one of the most significant of all being that you have to go to office to work. It gave actually the work from home a new meaning. Now, while work from home can apply 100% to the services industry, things are not as simple for manufacturing companies as remote working is just not possible for all the roles. Some roles need to be physically present on the shop floor, while some roles can continue to work from home. In other words, they need a proper hybrid working environment. One of the biggest challenges here is to ensure meaningful and productive collaboration between employees who are in office and those who are working remotely. This requires reimagining collaboration. It requires the right collaboration tools to bring people together in a borderless work environment. It requires people, putting together best practices to enable a seamless hybrid work environment that maximizes output from a flexible workforce. To discuss this in more detail, we have with us Gurdyal Bhatnagar, VP and CIO at Greenlam Industries. Gurdyal as is fondly known as GD. So welcome to CXO Cafe, GD.
Morning, Mr. Chopra, and thanks for inviting me for this wonderful episode. And I think this is going to be a very beautiful event where we can learn mutually and understand what is happening. And I would be very happy to share whatever experience we have in Greenlam during this pandemic. I think this will also give a perspective to others that how in this kind of a scenario, typically the manufacturing companies can respond to this situation and come back to the normal situation.
Absolutely, GD, and I also look forward to this interaction and learning, getting some of your insights around how you managed during these tough times, so that and understand how you are really prepared for the future. But before we actually start the Q&A, I'm just going to spend a few minutes to give a brief about your company Greenlam and about yourself, so that our audience know what this interaction is all about, so that the context can be set.
Sure.
So Greenlam Industries is the world's top 3 and Asia's largest laminate producer. With a production capacity of 15.62 million sheets per year, Greenlam offers world-class laminate sheets in a myriad of textures, colors, and designs. The company's laminate sheets come with a number of distinct properties, such as antibacterial, fire retardant, scratch and impact resistant, and many more attributes that make them a cut above the rest. The company has a team of 3,750 employees and a network of over 14,000 dealers and distributors. Gurdyal Bhatnagar, or GD, is a versatile C-level high-energy technocrat with over 29 years of extensive experience in digital transformation and IT enablement in large enterprises, coupled with planning, organizing, and directing a wide range of team-building activities for different organizations engaged in chemical, cement, sugar, fertilizer, retail, PVC windows, doors, and other building products and manufacturing processes. He is currently engaged in setting up new IT-enabled processes at Greenlam as per global standards related to laminates, veneer, wooden floorings, and door manufacturing. So welcome once again to CXO Cafe, GD. I think it will be a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chopra.
So let me, start off with one basic question that I think, is a must, I think, for everyone who's kind of been through this current pandemic. The outbreak of the pandemic led to a sudden shift to a work from home culture. And this was perhaps the most difficult time for manufacturers because they had to have physical presence of manpower, especially, for the laminates manufacturing industry like yours. So what were the top challenges you faced during this time?
Okay, so Mr. Chopra, if you see, and as you have mentioned about my organization, so Greenlam Industries Limited has been beautifying spaces for years by infusing creative into every piece of work and turning the homes and the residential areas into piece of beauty and brilliance. And our business model is such that it mainly revolves around in-person environment. So it is designed around physical locations and people. So during the pandemic, organization in particular, the manufacturing units like ours and business like us faced various challenges to remain productive. The biggest challenges in front of us was that the market was slowing down. The consumer sentiments were weak. People were not wanting to come forward to our showrooms or to our you can say dealers and distributors to see the products, and in fact the entire work was on hold. So the biggest challenge was that how to address that. Then there was a need to virtualize and kind of a conventional physical engagement which we were having, and the entire business model was based on that. So a new normal of working from home was basically seen, and it was a requirement of that particular time. And when we actually started working on that, we saw a lot of basic challenges like having a seamless connectivity at the residence, at the dealer distributor networks, and on top of that, the data security pertaining to our customers, to our products, and so all these things were throwing a kind of a different kind of a challenge altogether. And on top of that, the limitation of our people for moving here and there to set up these kind of systems was also there. So organizations who quickly reimagined where, when, and by whom work gets done were in a better position to generate both business outcomes and productivity outcomes. But the very first challenge was to start the journey forward and acknowledge the risk of adopting a hybrid working model. So I think that actually was the biggest thing, and it was in front of us that how to address these challenges. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I'm sure that for a company like yours, with such a wide network, things would have been very, very difficult to shift to the new normal. So tell me something. How have really now interactions with your customers, partners, and vendors, changed due to all this? And what have been the challenges in trying to make the most from, such interactions? I'm sure that many of them would be remote, many of them will be virtual interactions. So how do you really, what are the challenges you face in terms of making the most of interactions with, so many different roles? And by the way, please do call me Anil.
Okay. So Anil, see, as I mentioned earlier, that the biggest challenge was how to start, because our customers, our partners, they were very hesitant, looking to the and typically just when the first wave was finished and the second wave was picking up, and the kind of you can say the environment was there, people were not at all ready to come out. So as an organization, we completely agreed to this philosophy that now only the hybrid situation, the hybrid collaborative working style would work. So we were having basically three options in front of us, that either reject the hybrid environment and forced to return the traditional location centric model and work schedules. But it was having a risk of basically our customer, partners, and vendors leaving for a more, you can say, secure and a flexible working environment with say other organizations that they were having. So that was the biggest challenge in that. The second option was that accept the hybrid environment but decline to evolve the work model. That yes, we would adopt the hybrid model, but yes, we will ask our sales guys, our dealers, and to still look for an opportunity where they can interact and go to the people, ask their appointments, and bring the business on the table. But again, this was a risk for intensifying the work fatigue at our workforce. So the thought which was emerging out, and everybody actually agreed was that we need to reinvent work around a human-centric design, and the new hybrid environment that ensure performance, innovation, and equity, and getting the right requires experimentation, learning, and it should be an iterative process. So we started from there, and gradually, first we approached some of our, you can say, super stockists. We approached some of our big time customers. And as you know, that Greenlam is also having a very large portion of exports. So we export our material to more than 100 countries. So abroad, people have actually started coming up, and they were positive to work in a hybrid kind of a situation. So we, along with our stakeholders, carefully reviewed our existing practices, reached out to our partners to understand their needs, their challenges, and conclude that new working environment requires a culture of trust, empathy, and empowerment at the same time. And it also means that our managers must focus on work outcomes rather than activity metrics, and start working to a system where the individual becomes the stable pillar for running the business in the new conditions. So the major outcome of this exercise was to build a technology-enabled system for all our stakeholders, whether it is our employee or our customers, our partners, which can provide a flexible work experience, enable intentional collaboration, and drive empathy-based work management. So that was, I would say, the guiding principle which has given a clear mandate to everybody that, okay, this would be the new way of working. And then accordingly, we started working on developing the systems. So whether it was providing support to our partners to acquire the right connectivity and bandwidths, or whether guiding them and helping them to acquire the right technologies, whether to even create a kind of a virtual environment for them. So though it was to be done and it was to be owned by our customers and partners, but we thought, no, it's our job and we should facilitate them. So I think that was the basic guiding principle, and that has helped us. And we try to collaborate with them with one thing in front of us, that business would come next. The very first thing is that we should gain that trust among the entire ecosystem, that yes, Greenlam is there for them and it is there to help them. And because the challenges we were facing, similar kind of challenges they were also facing, because our business model is majorly B2B. So they were also facing similar kind of things. So I think that helped us, and together we were able to drive the entire thing, and we reached to a kind of a situation where it was a win-win position for everybody.
I mean, so glad to hear that. I'm sure that, you know, you work closely with your partners to, and I think most important was to look at really the culture and, you know, get people to used to, you know, the remote way of working. That must have been, you know, the most challenging thing. I'm sure it is, because suddenly moving from physical to virtual is not an easy transition. So absolutely that would have been tough, but I'm so glad to hear that you were able to do that. You know, but you know, one thing is that if I were to look at go a little deeper into this in terms of IT's real role, you know, moving a little more into how it actually happened, into, you know, IT's role to enable, you know, these people while you work closely with all your partners and your entire ecosystem and maybe employees also. What all were some of the things that IT did to kind of you know, get people to work from anywhere, to maximize their productivity, and of course enabling business continuity? A little more about IT's role here, if you could share.
So Anand, as an IT leaders, I would say that we were forced to think differently and figure out the right solution which can address needs of synchronous as well as asynchronous ways of working, and have a hybrid working environments. So what we did, that we started focusing to provide a secure and always available and a flexible platform which can facilitate employees to work at different locations, provide them transparent systems wherein all the various opportunities for business available to them was transparently available to them to react. And also we provided some kind of a, you can say, flexibility in a manner that they decide based on their interaction with their customers and the end users, that at what time they want to work, at how they would like to interact with them, whether some of the customers they were ready to even entertain physically our people, but some of them they used to say that no, you send me the samples and then I'll go through it and then I'll let you know how we have to decide upon the overall propositions and the order fulfillments. So we actually went ahead and we created an environment leveraging upon our existing systems of ERP and CRM, and we also added some of the technologies like we went ahead and we created a high definition video streaming systems for our product selections. We created a content distribution network wherein the high resolution sample pictures and other things were available to create a e-catalog and other things, flipbooks, so that our people, they should not feel that they are handicapped in providing the required services, the required product details to our end customers. And I think the biggest thing which helped us is that in most of the things we have actually as a philosophy in the Green Lamp, we had already outsourced lot many things earlier to a tier one kind of a partners. So those partners were also willing to come forward and help us in creating those kind of environment, whether it was SAP India or whether it was IBM or whether it was Tata's. So they also saw that this is kind of an opportunity for them, and they also collaborated with us. And then based on our existing platforms on say SAP HANA or CRM, VPN services. So we actually focused on timely deploying security patches, enhanced endpoint security, and partnered with some of the service providers to make every collaboration experience as secure, inclusive, and engaging as being face-to-face. So that actually helped us. And then we also tried to analyze that what is happening in the market. Because people like Jio, people like Tata's, people like Airtel, they were also coming up with a lot of different propositions, which has actually helped us. So as I mentioned, so I typically would like to mention this, that the way typically in our business, because people want to feel the product, people want to see the product, because ultimately they are going to apply in their furnitures and their homes. So they just don't want to take a decision where they are not knowing the product. And the biggest thing which helped us was having this kind of a high definition video streaming selection process of the product, wherein a person can come to our websites, book a slot for that, and then they can actually see what is happening and how the product is being manufactured, and they can see the real time kind of a product and then take a conscious call. So those kind of I think technologies, apart from the classical video streaming and other things, these kind of a value added services has actually given us an edge to meet the customer requirements.
No, absolutely. I think for a business like yours, where which is where a customer would actually want to look at the product and really understand the texture, the finish, the colors, and everything. I mean, your requirement is very, very different from traditional video conferencing. So, which is where high definition really comes in. And absolutely good to hear that all your distributors also were keen to work with you and support you, because I guess at a time like this their business also would have been impacted, so they would also have been more than keen to do whatever they could to kind of sustain their business. But so it kind of was a win-win situation for both of you. But the one thing that we have seen is that the pandemic is kind of forced us to adopt this kind of a hybrid work environment. Do you think that when all this is over, things will return back to normal, or the changes that occurred will be permanent in your business, especially? What do you think is likely to happen?
I think this is a very interesting question you has asked, and in my opinion, it's time to redesign the work culture now. And it would not be wise to return back to old systems. Because see, typically, if you see in our kind of a business, the way we have adapted to working during the pandemic has already shattered outdated assumptions that, yeah, you cannot work unless and until you are not having a physical contact, you are not reaching out to the customer. So these were earlier, these kind of work processes were never challenged. And actually, you have very rightly mentioned that this hybrid workplace has actually forced us to reimagine and rethink the work process. And Anil, I would also like to mention here that it's not only people like us, people like manufacturers like Greenlam or thing. Even in fact, the dealer distributors and our partners, they actually were thinking in a very different manner. A lot of, I would say, suggestions were given by them that, in category, I would like to mention one, that one of our partner came forward and he said, sir, you are creating a flip book for me. Can I know that in my market, what are the products which are high selling and low selling? So can I create my own flip book so that I know that who are my regular customers and I would start distributing that to them. So ultimately, we would cut down the time in selection, and we can still target the business. And I think that gave us an idea that and on a technology platform, we are creating the platform. Why can't we have a customer-wise platform? So those ideas, those things which were given to us actually has helped us in redesigning the entire thing. And to be very frank, that I think this is a unique opportunity to break from a location-centric model of work design around industrial era constraints and to redesign work around the human-centric model to secure customer demand, more resilient systems to disruptions, and more productive. And I think it can also help us in reducing a lot of costs. Typically in our kind of a business, because large warehouses, large stocking arrangements are required. So I think the real estate and a lot of traveling can be reduced, which would definitely help. However, I think there will definitely be certain functions where we have to adopt the classical way of working, typically in the production. You cannot go away with the human intervention in the production and quality assurance and other things. So I think we have to have some kind of a balanced approach. We need to identify the areas, but definitely it would not be the same as it used to be the pre-pandemic situation.
Well, so glad to hear that coming from manufacturing company like yours, that things are not likely to go back to the same as they were before, and to hear a lot of what should I say positive, forward thinking, innovative thoughts that you're kind of thinking about, that redesign the entire workplace, have a support from partners to give them a platform that they can work on. So it's really good to hear that there's a change that we are really seeing, that you'd like to really to kind of enable. Now, what kind of collaboration you already mentioned, HD, for example, but what collaboration and tools and technologies do you think are going to become important and part and parcel of your work, to kind of really enable this? You already mentioned, one or two of them like HD and all that, but what other tools do you think are really going to, help you moving forward in the, to enable collaboration, better collaboration?
So Anil, if we analyze that how our work environment has changed since we started working from home, we will find that our on-system time has increased. So people are too much into video meetings, video conferencing, webinars. So that has actually, I would say, resulting in a lot of fatigue on a personal front. So employees are burnouts, and hence to make the entire this new hybrid system to work, I think technologies which can address some of the issues like I would say reducing unwanted noise during meetings, the stable and better connectivity options, your easy collaboration softwares. So when I'm saying easy collaborating softwares, I'm not saying that a better Zoom or a better Teams. I am saying that if possible, can we have an interoperating kind of a system wherein it should not be like that I am on Zoom and you are on Teams and we cannot interact. So these kind of technologies then so basically what I'm saying that all-in-one kind of a meeting solutions. Cloud storage technology would definitely be very helping in this kind of system. Your emailing systems, I would say that beyond just sending the email, what else we can use? So like we used our EDM things very effectively during this pandemic through emails and other things, sending the catalogs and other things. So how we can enrich these kind of technologies would definitely help. And apart from that, so these I would say these are the technologies which are going to impact directly the user. But apart from them, at the back end, if you ask me, a lot of technologies would help in this kind of environment, say HR functions. So today you are going to hire, you have to train the users. So how you can actually utilize the various technologies available in the market, which are ready to be deployed and which are available to be used immediately. So you have to see that, and it would definitely help in addressing the needs of an employee, addressing his well-being and other things. Similarly, I think leveraging upon the CRM technologies, wherein you can address your business needs, you can address your Salesforce requirements in a much better manner. Partner portals, wherein you can have a clear, transparent methodology for interaction and for dissipating the required information to your partners, whether it is your customers or your suppliers. Similarly, technologies like Slack, wherein you have a controlled, governed, secured channels for interaction within the closed groups. Then I would say, since we are on a Microsoft platform, so we very effectively used your M365 functionalities and OneDrive, Teamwear. Then one thing I think has actually helped us also to have a authenticated system for ordering and other things. So DocuSign has played a very important role. And I have already mentioned about the HD video system and CDN. I think all this put together, if we see, these are some of the technologies which are going to play a very important role, and people and and I would say the OEMs and the IT solution designers, they have to look at how all these technologies can be made further easy as far as the end user is concerned. Because see, sitting here in the office, having a lot of engineers with us, we can say that, okay, we can make use of it. Think of the people who says sitting in a place called Barabanki, where we are providing him these kind of platforms, but if he is not able to use it effectively, I think that would not work, and that would not add any value to us. So I think these are some of the technologies which definitely we need to think of and see how we can make use of them to make the lives better.
Well, yeah, thanks, GD. I think great insights from you. In fact, my next question was going to be about expectations from IT, but you kind of already elaborated that in so well that I can't really think about any other technologies that one could really look at. You've really kind of put it together. Having a unified collaboration tools so that you don't have to look at individual tools. Talked about that, and enriching applications further to make the work easier, and OEM should be able to make technologies easy for the user to use. So you've kind of really, very clearly laid out your expectations from how technology should really be moving forward, and what kind of solutions would you really expect from technology so providers to deliver to enable your work environments, to empower your work environment. So I think you've kind of answered that in a very elaborate manner and a very nicely put manner. So thank you so much, GD, for joining us today and sharing those insights. I learned a lot from the insights that you gave. It has really been a pleasure to do this interaction with you. Thank you so much.
Same here, Anil, and I look forward for such kind of interactions, which actually gives an opportunity to learn from others, and I'll be happy to be available to you whenever you want.
Thank you so much once again, GD.
Thanks.
Right. So that's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed watching this episode of CXO Cafe and found it interesting and useful. I definitely did learn a lot from the interaction today. We'll be back again soon with more interesting chats around other aspects of new workplace trends. So stay tuned. And till then, thanks for watching CXO Cafe and see you again soon.